Welcome to this short series of videos on the Joysway Fusion 3. The video will take you through how I prepared my boat as well as my opinion on the boat. I do not claim that this is the only way or even the best way to prepare and set up the Fusion 3, but I have found this approach works. I have absolutely no connection with Joysway or the supplier of the boat here in Australia. So this will be an honest and unbiased appraisal of the boat. I should also say that I do not sail competitively, but only as a social group near where I live at Lake Macquarie, which for any overseas viewer is about 100 kilometres north of Sydney. I ordered my Focus 3 from Hobby Warehouse, which is based in Melbourne. The boat arrived within 2 days. I have bought 2 other boats from Hobby Warehouse, as well as some other spare parts and bits. The service has always been first rate, and I have heard from others that any warranty issues have been dealt with expeditiously. Inside the box is a good set of instructions which you should find adequate for the purpose. The Chinglish is far better than a lot I have seen, so well done to Joysway in this regard. The boat comes packaged in a styrofoam box which protects all the items. The one possible exception being the mast, which is packed in a slot at the top of the box. I think it could possibly be prone to damage if another heavy package was placed in the wrong way. Mine was fine, but certainly worth checking when you get your boat just in case. The radio is well protected in its compartment. I do not use this radio as I prefer to use a FlySky i6, and more on this later. The bulb is very well stored and restrained in its own compartment. As this is the only heavy item, it is well restrained and is not and will not damage any other parts. The rudder is stored in its own compartment and is ready to be fitted to the boat. The sails come in their own cardboard box, which fits neatly into its compartment. Stored underneath the sail box is the various components for the stand and the 2 booms and mast inserts. The boat itself is stored neatly in its compartment. The electrics are already fitted, as well as the rubber bellows for the steering arm and the sheet line for the winch. Under the boat is the fin, which comes ready for assembly. The stand housings are set in their own compartment. With the Focus 3 you get some additional fittings not supplied in the Focus 2 kit, and the boat can be laid on its side. There is a bag of small parts needed to complete the assembly and some hatch covers which I do not use. The first step with the instructions is to put the stand together. I do not use this stand except as a temporary place to sit the boat. To be fair, Joysway refer to the stand as only being a display stand. Assembly is quite straightforward using the instruction booklet. Just be careful when applying the rubber strips, as once you expose the adhesive it is quite sticky. The thinner strips for the lay-down fittings need to be tucked in, so take extra care. I have developed my own cradle, which acts as a stand as well as protecting the boat. Other people have made stands, and a number of designs are available online. I like this design because it affords the boat a lot of protection when transporting it to and from sailing. I 3D printed a number of the parts. I do a lot of 3D printing as part of my hobby of building scale model ships. so it was not too difficult to design the parts and print them, and they work very well. If there is enough interest, I can do a short video dedicated to making the cradle and share the print files on one of the free 3D platforms. Suffice to say, the cradle works well for me. Fitting the bulb and the fin is straightforward. I like to use Corrosion X covered with liberal amounts of Vaseline on all the exposed metal components, as well as the rubber gasket. The first step is to fit the fin to the bulb. It can only go one way, and once inserted, simply screw on one of the cap nuts and tighten. You then fit the rubber gasket. As I said, I use plenty of Vaseline. I always have tissues on hand to remove excess Vaseline after assembly. Place the mask step fitting in the stainless steel collar and fix with the other cap nut. I do not put much pressure on the top nut. Note, it is worthwhile taking the fin and the bulb apart regularly, say once a month or so, and inspect for any corrosion. After inserting the cap nut, simply tighten with a screwdriver, but again, don't over tighten. Watertight integrity is critical in any radio controlled yacht, and the two areas that require attention on the Focus are sealing the deck eyes and making a usable hatch. All other Joysway boats, including this one, have had a number of unsealed deck eyes. In my first boat, a DF65, only 2 of the deck eyes were actually sealed. On my Focus 2, this improved to about half of the eyes. And on this boat, actually only 2 were unsealed. But irrespective of whether the eye is watertight, I still seal them anyway. You can find out if the eyes are leaking simply by sucking air through them. The eye midships seems to have an additional plug, and on my Focus 3 and Focus 2 this eye leaked. I seal the eyes using a quick setting epoxy. I apply the epoxy with a toothpick and it will find its own level. You need to be careful not to block the eyes, and I use a micro brush with a little isopropyl alcohol to make sure the eyes are clear. If you do end up applying a little too much epoxy, it is best to remove the excess from the eye while the glue remains plastic before it sets hard. This completes the first video in the series. I hope you'll join me for the next video. Thank you. Bye now.